In 2010, Hawaii Five-0 made Hawaii feel like the most dangerous and exciting place on television, with McGarrett's team risking their lives every episode. But away from the cameras, real life became far more brutal than the show itself. From depression and financial struggles to heartbreaking death, the cast went through tragedies fans never imagined. Join us as we honor the cast in 2026. Taylor Wiley as Kamakona Tupuola. Taylor Wiley, born on June 14, 1968 in Hawaii, was 42 years old when he played Kamakona Tupuola, the lovable informant and shrimp truck owner in Hawaii Five-0. With his humor, warmth, and larger-than-life charisma, Kamakona quickly became one of the emotional centers of the show and a fan favorite whose presence made the Five-0 team feel more like a family. Taylor Wiley passed away on June 20, 2024, at the age of 56 from natural causes in Hurricane, Utah, only days after celebrating his birthday. News of his death devastated fans and co-stars alike, with many members of the Hawaii Five-0 cast sharing emotional tributes and memories after the heartbreaking loss. His family kept most funeral and burial details private. When he was still with us, his life carried deep emotional wounds long after his early dreams collapsed. A serious knee injury ended his promising sumo wrestling career in 1989 and left him battling chronic pain, depression, and years of loneliness as he struggled to rebuild his future from nothing. Acting eventually gave him a second chance through projects like Forgetting Sarah Marshall, Magnum PY, and Hawaii Five-0, helping him earn an estimated net worth of around $1.5 million by the time of his death. To viewers, Taylor Wiley was the man who brought laughter and warmth into every scene, but behind that unforgettable smile was someone who spent much of his life quietly carrying pain that never truly faded away. Scott Caan as Danny Dano Williams. Scott Caan, born on August 23, 1976 in California, was 34 years old when he played Danny Dano Williams, the sarcastic but loyal detective partner of Steve McGarrett in Hawaii Five-0. His sharp humor, emotional vulnerability, and unforgettable chemistry with McGarrett helped turn the series into one of television's most beloved action dramas. By 2026, Scott Caan is 50 years old and continues working as an actor, writer, and photographer while living a far more private life outside the chaos of Hollywood. With an estimated net worth of around $16 million, he successfully built a career of his own, despite spending much of his life trapped under the enormous shadow of his father, legendary actor James Caan. After years of trying to prove himself beyond the famous family name, Hawaii Five-0 finally gave Scott the recognition he had spent decades chasing. Yet even during the height of that success, Scott was carrying emotional and physical pain that few people ever saw. Watching his father's health slowly decline before his death in 2022 deeply affected him, while chronic joint pain from old skateboarding injuries continued to follow him throughout the demanding filming schedule of the series. The pressure of balancing fame, family expectations, and his own personal identity quietly exhausted him over the years. To audiences, Danny Williams was often the funniest person in the room, but behind the humor was a man fighting insecurities and emotional scars that success alone could never fully erase. Alex O'Loughlin as Steve McGarrett. Alex O'Loughlin, born on August 7, 1976 in Australia, was 34 years old when he played Steve McGarrett, the fearless leader of the elite Five-0 task force in Hawaii Five-0. His intense action scenes, emotional performances, and commanding presence quickly became the backbone of the series throughout its 10-year run. To many viewers, McGarrett was the unstoppable force that gave the show its identity and emotional weight. By 2026, Alex O'Loughlin is 50 years old and has stepped away from the exhausting pace of Hollywood to live a much quieter life focused on family and personal recovery. During the peak years of Hawaii Five-0, his salary reportedly reached nearly $200,000 per episode, helping him build an estimated net worth of around $25 million. However, That success came with a devastating personal cost that nearly destroyed him behind the scenes. Years of performing brutal stunt work left Alex suffering from herniated discs, nerve damage, torn shoulder muscles, and chronic pain that became impossible to ignore. By 2016, the physical agony pushed him into a secret battle with prescription painkiller addiction, forcing him into rehab while he desperately hid the truth from CBS and his fans out of fear that showing weakness could end his career. On screen, Steve McGarrett always looked fearless and indestructible. But away from the cameras, Alex O'Loughlin was quietly fighting a battle that almost broke him completely. Daniel Dae Kim as Chin-Ho Kelly. Daniel Dae Kim, born on August 4, 1968 in South Korea, was 42 years old when he played Chin-Ho Kelly, the calm, intelligent, and deeply loyal detective of Hawaii Five-0. His quiet intensity and emotional restraint gave the series a sense of maturity and balance that became essential to the show's success across 168 episodes. By 2026, Daniel Dae Kim is 58 years old and continues working as both an actor and powerful Hollywood producer. With an estimated net worth of around $10 million, he successfully expanded his career far beyond acting through projects like Lost, producing The Good Doctor, and appearing in Avatar: The Last Airbender. His influence grew so significantly that Time magazine named him one of the 100 most influential people in the world in 2023. Yet even after finally reaching that level of success, Daniel found himself at the center of one of Hawaii Five-0's biggest controversies. In 2017, he and co-star Grace Park demanded salary equality with their white co-stars, only for CBS to reportedly refuse the request outright. The dispute ultimately led to both actors leaving the show, sparking widespread backlash and painful conversations about racial inequality in Hollywood. For Daniel, the experience became deeply personal, leaving him feeling isolated and disillusioned after years of quietly enduring an industry where his talent had so often been underestimated. After all, Daniel Dae Kim spent much of his career fighting simply to be valued equally. Chi McBride as Captain Lou Grover. Chi McBride, born on September 23, 1961 in Illinois, was 52 years old when he played Captain Lou Grover, the strong-willed head of SWAT and trusted ally of McGarrett in Hawaii Five-0. His role quickly became one of the show's most respected and dependable characters, giving the Five-0 team a powerful emotional anchor. By 2026, Chi McBride is 65 years old and continues acting after building a long television career through projects like Boston Public, Pushing Daisies, and Netflix's I Will Find You. His success over the years helped him earn an estimated net worth of around $10 million, with reports stating his Hawaii Five-0 salary eventually climbed close to $150,000 per episode. From the outside, his career appeared steady and successful, but reaching that point came after years of uncertainty and sacrifice. Chi spent much of his early adulthood torn between music and acting, eventually giving up a promising jazz career to chase acting roles that often left him struggling financially and emotionally drained. Failed auditions and constant instability became so overwhelming at times that he nearly abandoned Hollywood completely and returned to office work in Atlanta. The pressure of maintaining a demanding acting career also placed heavy strain on his marriage to Julissa Marquez, with long filming schedules, missed family moments, and years of quiet resentment leaving emotional scars on their relationship. So behind the scenes, Chi McBride spent decades fighting uncertainty, sacrifice, and the painful cost of chasing a dream that almost slipped away from him more than once. Grace Park as Kono Kalakaua. Grace Park, born on March 14, 1974 in California, was 36 years old when she played Kono Kalakaua, the fearless surfer-turned-detective in Hawaii Five-0. Her confidence, emotional strength, and powerful screen presence helped make Kono one of the most admired characters in the series. By 2026, Grace Park is 52 years old, and continues working steadily in television after rebuilding her career following her controversial departure from Hawaii 5-0. Her success in projects like Battlestar Galactica and A Million Little Things helped her build an estimated net worth of around $6 million. But the years surrounding her exit from CBS remained some of the most emotionally painful of her career. Even after moving on to new projects, the controversy continued to follow her for years. The situation exploded in 2017 when Grace and Daniel Dae Kim reportedly fought for salary equality with their white co-stars and were denied by CBS, triggering one of the most controversial disputes in modern television. The fallout left Grace feeling deeply hurt and emotionally exhausted, especially after years of carrying the invisible pressure of representing Asian actors in Hollywood while constantly fighting to be taken seriously. The controversy also damaged several friendships behind the scenes and left emotional scars that never fully disappeared, even after she quietly stepped away from the series. Grace Park spent years struggling with disappointment, isolation, and the painful feeling of not being valued equally for the success she helped create. Dennis Chun as Sergeant Duke Lukala. Dennis Chun, born on March 18, 1952 in Hawaii, was 58 years old when he played Sergeant Duke Lukala, the experienced veteran officer and trusted ally of the 5-0 team in Hawaii 5-0. His calm presence and emotional sincerity helped connect the reboot to the legacy of the original Hawaii 5-0 series in a deeply meaningful way. By 2026, Dennis Chun is 74 years old and has largely stepped away from the spotlight after spending decades in Hawaiian television and entertainment. His later years brought him recognition through appearances in Hawaii 5-0 and Magnum P1, finally giving him the visibility that had escaped him for much of his career. Yet even with that success, the pressure surrounding his family name continued to follow him quietly through the years. As the son of Kam Fong Chun, who famously played Chin Ho Kelly in the original Hawaii 5-0, Dennis spent much of his life trapped beneath constant comparisons to his father's legacy. Critics and local media often treated him as someone continuing another man's story rather than recognizing the career he built himself, leaving emotional wounds that stayed with him for decades. The demanding filming schedules and emotional exhaustion of production also pushed him into long periods of isolation after work, as he quietly carried the weight of expectation that never seemed to disappear. In many ways, Dennis Chun's story became one of perseverance. Masi Oka as Dr. Max Bergman. Masi Oka, born on December 27, 1974, in Japan, was 36 years old when he played Dr. Max Bergman, the brilliant and eccentric medical examiner in Hawaii 5-0. His awkward humor, intelligence, and emotional warmth made Max one of the show's most unique and beloved characters. By 2026, Masi Oka is 51 years old and continues dividing his time between entertainment projects and technology work, after years of questioning where he truly belonged. Following the success of Heroes and his award-winning performance as Hiro Nakamura, he also became involved in anime production projects such as Claymore while quietly rebuilding his confidence within the industry. Even after finding success again, the uncertainty and emotional pressure surrounding his career never fully faded away. The sudden cancellation of Heroes in 2010 left Masi struggling with depression and a growing fear that Hollywood only saw him as another stereotypical, comic Asian sidekick. That frustration slowly pushed him into an internal battle between continuing as an actor or leaving the industry entirely to return to programming work at Industrial Light and Magic, where he once felt more respected and understood. Although Hawaii 5-0 helped restore his visibility and introduced him to a new generation of fans, the feeling of constantly fighting to prove his worth continued to weigh heavily on him for years. Behind Dr. Max Bergman's humor and kindness was a man searching for acceptance in an industry that often made him feel invisible. Ian Anthony Dale as Adam Noshimori. Ian Anthony Dale, born on July 3, 1978 in St. Paul, Minnesota, was 33 years old when he played Adam Noshimori. the complex former Yakuza figure who evolved into one of the most emotionally layered characters in Hawaii Five-0. His quiet intensity and emotional depth gave Adam one of the most compelling character arcs in the series. By 2026, Ian Anthony Dale is 48 years old and continues working steadily in television through projects like The Event, The Resident, and Rescue High Surf. While his career eventually found stability, the path toward that success was filled with disappointment, uncertainty, and years of frustration that nearly pushed him out of the industry entirely. Growing up with a mixed ethnic background left Ian struggling with questions about identity and belonging from a very young age, feelings that only deepened during his difficult early years in Hollywood. He spent years working as a carpenter in Los Angeles while surviving endless failed auditions and watching major opportunities collapse around him after shows like Surface and Daybreak were canceled almost immediately. Even The Event, which seemed like a major breakthrough, disappeared after only one season and reopened many of his old insecurities about failure and instability. By the time he was promoted to series regular in Hawaii Five-0's later seasons, the pressure to prove himself had become emotionally and physically exhausting. Behind Adam Noshimuri's calm exterior was an actor who spent much of his life fighting fear, rejection. Jorge Garcia as Jerry Ortega. Jorge Garcia, born on April 28, 1973 in Nebraska, was 40 years old when he played Jerry Ortega, the conspiracy-obsessed consultant who slowly became one of the most lovable members of the team in Hawaii Five-0. His awkward charm, intelligence, and emotional sincerity brought warmth and humor into some of the show's darkest moments. By 2026, Jorge Garcia is 53 years old and continues acting after rebuilding both his career and his health following years of emotional struggle in Hollywood. After becoming globally famous as Hurley in Lost, he later appeared in projects such as Bookie, while quietly focusing on maintaining a healthier and more stable life. However, the pressure surrounding his appearance and weight followed him for years after Lost ended. The constant public scrutiny over his body and the industry's habit of casting him only in roles connected to his size slowly pushed Jorge into severe periods of depression and insecurity. His dramatic 45-kilogram weight loss through a strict vegan lifestyle was never simply about appearance, but a desperate attempt to regain control of his health before his body completely broke down. This emotional damage caused by years of judgment and typecasting never fully disappeared. Behind Jerry Ortega's humor and optimism was a man fighting to prove that he was far more than the image Hollywood had trapped him inside for so long. Kimi Balmilero as Dr. Noelani Cunha. Kimi Balmilero, born on December 13th in Hawaii, was 37 years old when she played Dr. Noelani Cunha, the cheerful and compassionate medical examiner in Hawaii Five-0. Her warmth and natural humor gave the series a softer emotional energy during some of its darkest storylines. Noelani quickly became one of the most comforting and lovable members of the Five-0 family. By 2026, Kimi Balmilero is 46 years old and continues working as an actress, comedian, and founder of Improv Hawaii, while expanding her television career through projects like Doogie Kamialoha, M.D. Years of stage work, television appearances, and comedy helped her build an estimated net worth of around $2 million after spending much of her early adulthood struggling to survive financially. Yet the success she enjoys today came after a period where her dream nearly collapsed under the weight of loneliness, uncertainty, and constant sacrifice. After leaving behind a stable nursing career to pursue acting full-time, Kimi spent years barely getting by through small touring productions of Miss Saigon and supporting performances in the Broadway musical Mamma Mia. The instability became so emotionally draining that she seriously considered abandoning entertainment altogether because the dream no longer felt sustainable. Hawaii Five-0 eventually gave her the breakthrough she had been chasing for years, turning a period filled with doubt and exhaustion into the moment that finally made all those sacrifices feel meaningful. Mark Dacascos as Wo Fat. Mark Dacascos, born on February 26, 1964 in Hawaii, was 46 years old when he played Wo Fat, the dangerous and calculating enemy who became one of the darkest forces in Hawaii, Five-0. His role quickly became a central figure whose rivalry with McGarrett helped shape the emotional tension of the show's early years. By 2026, Mark Dacascos is 62 years old and continues acting after building a long career through action projects like Brotherhood of the Wolf and John Wick. Chapter 3. Parabellum. Years in martial arts cinema helped him earn an estimated net worth of around $4 million, though much of his career was spent fighting against Hollywood's tendency to see him only as a martial arts fighter instead of a serious actor. That frustration followed him for decades, despite his growing popularity with audiences worldwide. Growing up under the strict discipline of a martial arts family left Mark with little freedom during childhood, as training and perfection dominated much of his early life. When he finally entered Hollywood, he found himself trapped once again inside repetitive action roles that rarely allowed him to show emotional depth beyond fighting scenes. His marriage to actress Julie Condra remained stable over the years, but constant filming schedules across different countries often created emotional distance and pressure within family life. That is the reason why he is still unforgettable. Katrina Law as Quinn Liu. Katrina Law, born on September 30th, 1985 in New Jersey, was 34 years old when she played Quinn Liu, the disciplined former military intelligence officer in Hawaii Five-0. Her confidence and calm intensity brought fresh energy into the series during its final chapter. Quinn quickly stood out as a strong addition to the team, despite arriving near the end of the show's long run. By 2026, Katrina Law is 41 years old and continues starring in major television projects, including Arrow and NCIS. Her steady rise in Hollywood helped her build an $3 million net worth after years of surviving unstable jobs, failed auditions, and career uncertainty. But stepping into Hawaii Five-0 during its final season also placed enormous pressure on her shoulders because she had to prove herself almost immediately to longtime fans. Growing up with Taiwanese and German-Italian heritage left Katrina feeling isolated throughout much of her childhood as she endured bullying and struggled to fit in at school. Her early acting years were equally painful, forcing her to juggle side jobs just to afford rent while watching opportunity after opportunity disappear. Joining Hawaii Five-0 became one of the most stressful moments of her career because she entered a beloved series already approaching its ending, knowing audiences could easily dismiss her as forgettable. Instead, the role became proof that after years of rejection and insecurity, Katrina Law had finally earned her place on screen. Andrew Lawrence as Eric Russo. Andrew Lawrence, born on January 12, 1988 in Pennsylvania, was 25 years old when he played Eric Russo, the young hacker and tech specialist connected to the Five-0 investigations in Hawaii Five-0. His youthful energy and intelligence brought a different dynamic to the series during his appearances. By 2026, Andrew Lawrence is 38 years old and continues working in entertainment as both an actor and independent filmmaker after years of struggling to step out of the shadow of his famous family. His career includes voice work as T.J. Detweiler in Recess and directing projects like The Office Mix-Up, helping him gradually build a more independent creative identity. Still, the road toward that stability became far more difficult than many people realized. Starting his career at only 3 years old meant Andrew spent much of his childhood growing up on film sets instead of living a normal life. Constant comparisons to his older brothers, Joey Lawrence and Matthew Lawrence, created years of emotional pressure as the media repeatedly treated him as the younger brother, rather than recognizing him as his own person. As he grew older, the lack of major breakthrough roles pushed him into a painful career crisis that eventually forced him toward directing low-budget independent films while dealing with financial instability and uncertainty about his future. After years of trying to escape comparison and prove his own value, Andrew Lawrence slowly turned those struggles into the determination that kept his career alive. Lauren German as Laurie Weston. Lauren German, born on November 29, 1978 in California, was 33 years old when she played Laurie Weston, the ambitious Homeland Security agent who joined the Five-0 task force in Hawaii Five-0. Her character quickly became one of the show's most controversial characters, as her arrival completely changed the emotional dynamic within the team. By 2026, Lauren German is 47 years old and is best known worldwide for playing Chloe Decker in Lucifer, after rebuilding her reputation through years of persistence in television and film. Her work in projects like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Chicago Fire helped her establish a successful career and an estimated net worth of around $4 million after surviving some extremely unstable years early on. But the period surrounding Hawaii Five-0 became one of the most emotionally difficult chapters of her career. After struggling through low-paying horror films and financial instability during her early acting years, Lauren entered Hawaii Five-0 hoping the role would become a major turning point. Instead, she faced an overwhelming wave of backlash from fans who accused her character of disrupting Steve and Catherine's relationship and interfering with the bond between Steve and Danny. The online attacks quickly became deeply personal and created enormous emotional stress that affected her far beyond the set itself. Eventually, the pressure became so exhausting that she chose to leave the show after less than one full season. So after 10 unforgettable years of action, heartbreak, and loyalty in Hawaii Five-0, the cast's real lives turned out to be far more emotional and complicated than anything we saw on screen. Which Hawaii Five-0 cast member shocked you the most then and now? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more stories behind your favorite stars.